I'll get us kicked off. Michelle McCormick again from Evotech. We have Srini with us today. Srini is with Aigo. Aigo is one of the best chatbot solutions we have seen in the marketplace today. It actually does really have a brain. And so when we talk about that, he's going to be able to showcase that and give you guys a preview of the solution. But it's really making waves in the marketplace, whether it is B2B or B2C. It is something that has been differentiated and recognized by our team at Evotech Labs and also by my practice. So far, every customer that's taken a deeper dive and has looked at Aigo from Evotech's perspective has really loved and enjoyed the platform and is looking to find a way to enhance their current customer experience and their employee experience and agent experience at the same time. So I will pass it off to Srini to go ahead and walk us through that and give us an introduction of himself as well as Aigo.
Awesome. Great. Thanks a lot, Michelle. Appreciate it. And thanks everyone for taking the time to join this session. My name is Srini Pagidyala. I'm the co-founder of Aigo.ai. And allow me to share my screen. We've been working on this technology for actually almost 2 decades, researching it, developing it, commercializing it, and here we are with the second generation of this technology. So what we have is a technology called Aigo. It's not Aigo, it's actually Aigo. It's Aigo where you go, Aigo. And Aigo is the world's first, and to the best of our knowledge, the only chatbot with a brain, right? But before talking about the brain, let me talk about the core problem we are addressing. So we all fell in love with the idea of conversing with chatbots and chatbots getting things done for us, especially in the space of customer service and employee service, everything to do with customer experience and employee experience. Well, 10 years and tens of billions of dollars later, this promise within the enterprise is not delivered. And how do we know this? We are now working with some of the largest e-commerce companies, banks and insurance companies. This is what these companies are telling us about the chatbot that they have tried to implement over the last 5 years. It doesn't understand what I'm saying. It forces our users to pick a response from the list, except the actual response we want to give is not even there in that list. It keeps asking for the same information again and again. The real question here is, what happened? How did we get here? Where did we go wrong? Right? When you look at the space of digital assistants, chatbots, or conversational AI systems, there are literally close to 3,000 companies in this category, and none of them have a brain. Now, what is the context of a brain when you talk about a chatbot? Well, here is what we discovered. What we found is that it is our brain that gives us fundamental cognitive skills that are required to manage a meaningful conversation. As an example, when you talk to somebody, you remember what they said, you understand it, and whatever you don't understand, you actually ask additional questions. And when you meet them again an hour later or a day later, you continue that conversation. In other words, ability to remember what somebody said, understand that information, and using that information contextually in subsequent conversations is a critical cognitive skill one needs to have to manage an ongoing meaningful conversation. And guess what? None of the 3,000 companies have that. That's number one, right? Number two, none of the 3,000 companies have ability to learn new information interactively from you. As an example, you can talk to Alexa or Siri, tell Alexa my favorite fruit is papaya, or my favorite city is Paris, or I'm flying out to Los Angeles this evening. And then you ask Alexa, when am I flying out to this evening? What's my favorite food, or what's my favorite? They can't answer that. If somebody whom you're having conversation with cannot learn new information interactively from you, you can't have a meaningful conversation with them. That's number two, right? The third one is a lot more foundational, if you will, which is none of the 3,000 bots have the ability to understand context. It is pure pattern matching. Here is an example. You can try this with Siri. If you have Apple phone, talk to Siri and tell Siri, hey Siri, I don't like Uber, don't ever give me Uber again. You know what it does? It immediately opens up Uber app and says, how many people, where are you going? Do you want Uber XL? Right? Or one of the largest financial institutions out there, they have a bot called Erica, and then you talk to Erica, and they have spent, I don't know, over 50 or 100 million dollars, and you talk to Erica about when was the last time I went to ATM, or what was the last amount I withdrew from ATM, and the answer you get is here is the nearest ATM location. So it has nothing to do with what you asked. It has everything to do with the keywords that you use. So they're giving you what they call statistically significant response. When most people use Uber in a sentence, they wanted Uber, so I'm going to give you Uber. Same thing with the ATM. If that is how you and I are having conversation right now, where I pick one keyword from a sentence you said, and I respond to you based on what most people wanted when they use that keyword, in 2 minutes, you're going to say, Srini, we're not having conversation. But here we are, right? See, the problem is a lot more deeper than that, because all of these companies, they use machine learning, deep learning, big data to solve the problem of natural language interaction. We have tremendous respect for the technology, but we have concluded almost 2 decades ago that it is absolutely the wrong technology to use to solve this problem. Because when you take a number, the value of that number does not change based on the context. But if I give you a word like club, without understanding the context, you would not know whether I'm talking about golf club, dance club, book club, tea club. There are many, many clubs available, right? So what works well for the numbers, you cannot apply that technology on the language and expect the technology to figure out hundreds of thousands of nuances that the language has. None of them have ability to manage an ongoing conversation, or even let's say if there are multiple steps, if there are 6 steps to apply for a replacement card, a credit card company. We are now working with one of the largest credit card companies out there. Now, can I drop out of a conversation at step number 5 and complete that last step an hour from now or a day from now? You cannot do that. You have to start over. Last but not least, knowledge, common sense knowledge is very, very important, right? So if I give you these 3 lines here, and I ask you a question, John ate spaghetti with Mary, John ate spaghetti with meatballs, John ate spaghetti with chopsticks. And if I ask you, whom did John eat spaghetti with, or what did he eat it with, or how did he eat it, immediately you would answer the question, right? Not a single chatbot on the planet can answer that. The real question is why. They do not have common sense knowledge that you and I take it for granted, that Mary, the human being, meatballs is the food, and chopsticks is the tool. Last but not least is what we call personalization, right? So I don't know how long Michelle has been using her Alexa at Siri, but I guarantee you, if I ask Michelle's Alexa, does Michelle like coffee or tea? And if I ask Michelle's Siri, does Michelle like Coke or Pepsi? They can't answer that question, assuming she has been using them for the last 10 years, 10 times a day. Yet they can't answer that question because they do not have the ability to learn her personal preferences. So these are massive cognitive gaps that exist in the marketplace. Aigo elegantly bridges these gaps while it continues to create hyper-personalized experience for each user, and we can do this at scale. So whether you have 10,000 users, 10 million users, or a billion users, every user gets their own Aigo. Each Aigo is hyper-personalized for that individual. What that means is it remembers your historical interactions, it understands them, it uses that information contextually in subsequent conversations, it learns your preferences, it learns your current content, current goals, ready to serve you 24/7 as your dedicated and hyper-personalized digital assistant for that application. So net, what I'm concluding here is conversations require cognition, and cognition requires the brain. Therefore, conversations require the brain. Without a brain, chatbots are just like any other trained parrot. Just because a parrot tells you good morning, how are you, doesn't mean it understands what good means and what morning means, right? Without a brain, there is absolutely no conversation possible. So with that, allow me to give you a quick demonstration of the technology so you get a feel for it. Here it is.
Today I'll show you a behind-the-scenes look of how Aigo works, how Aigo can take a natural language sentence, break it down, learn, remember, and use the knowledge throughout conversation, which should be a clear example of how Aigo is very different from the current chatbot technology that's out there. What you're seeing on your screen here are just the internal development tools that we use to work on Aigo on a daily basis, and they'll allow me to show you that behind-the-scenes look of how Aigo works. Let's get started. Aigo, please welcome everyone.
Hi everyone.
With this next example, I'm going to give Aigo a single sentence that has a lot of information in it about me. I'll give Aigo the sentence, then I'll explain it. My sister's cat Toby is at the vet because he needs some shots. So from this one sentence, Aigo and all of us have learned quite a lot of information. You know that I, Robert, am speaking. You now know that I have a sister. We know that sister has a cat. The cat's name is Toby. Toby's at the vet, and he's at the vet because he needs some shots. So if I were to ask anyone who heard this question, do I have a sister? well, if they couldn't answer the question, I think we'd all agree they're not very intelligent. And that's basically what's happening with the current chatbot technology that's out there. But with Aigo, we are learning, understanding, and remembering the knowledge from these inputs so they can be used throughout conversation. Aigo does this by going through multiple stages of deep parsing where it's using its short-term memory, its long-term memory, and context to resolve language ambiguity such as semantic disambiguation, phrase and clause attachment, and entity and pronoun resolution. The result of this process leaves us with new knowledge in Aigo's brain that Aigo can use throughout conversation to do things like answer questions, draw inferences, and build new knowledge on top of that existing knowledge. I'll run through a few of those examples right now and start with that very simple question from the beginning. Do I have a sister?
Yes.
What is my sister's cat's name?
Toby.
We can also use pronouns in the question. Where is he?
At the vet.
And we can see that Aigo knows we're talking about Toby. Toby is where? Why is he at the vet?
Because Toby needs some shots.
So that's showing Aigo's able to answer questions about the knowledge it just learned interactively from me through one-shot learning. But what if we want to give Aigo even more knowledge? We've all learned a lot of knowledge too. We all know I have a sister who has a cat named Toby. But if I ask you who my sister is, well, you probably can't answer the question. But if I tell you that my sister is Gina, then as humans, we can very quickly connect the dots and figure out that Gina has a cat named Toby. So Aigo doesn't know who Gina is. In fact, if I ask Aigo, who is Gina's cat?
I don't know.
Aigo doesn't know, but I can tell Aigo that that's my sister, just like I told all of us. Or I can tell Aigo something like, I am her brother. And the resulting encoding that we see up here on the top right is that Aigo understands now that Gina's brother is me, Robert, but now Aigo's also drawing this inference that, hey, Gina must be that sister, Robert's sister, the contextual sister, the sister I just learned about a few sentences ago. So if Aigo's connected the dots correctly, Aigo can now answer, who is Gina's cat?
Toby.
And we can just keep giving Aigo new information. But since Aigo is learning interactively from me, we also have to be able to correct or update knowledge. So hypothetically, let's say the cat's name is not Toby, it's actually Moby. I can tell Aigo, actually my sister's cat is Moby. And Aigo will update this knowledge in its brain. So if we ask Aigo again, who is Gina's cat?
Moby.
Aigo now knows that it's Moby and no longer Toby. Aigo also understands that Moby, my sister's cat, Gina's cat, they all refer to the same entity. So we could ask a question a different way, like, is my sister's cat Toby?
No, Moby.
No, and Aigo corrects us. Where is Moby?
At the vet.
These examples were to give you an introduction into the Aigo technology and show you a behind-the-scenes look of how Aigo takes natural language, learns, remembers, and then is able to use that knowledge throughout conversation, which really is in stark contrast to the other chatbots that we find out there.
So let me pause this for a second and go back to what I was sharing earlier, which is this, right? So when you have a powerful technology, like this, now what are the practical use cases in the industry where you can use something like this? Well, here is what we are already using in the industry. So call centers have become really, really expensive and hard, especially in the post-pandemic era. The agents are demanding more. The attrition rate of agents is very high. What if you introduce an intelligent assistant like Aigo that essentially takes care of pretty much anything, everything, not just the Q&A, but beyond the Q&A, actually gets the job done, where you can use human agents only on an exception basis. Typically, once you start working with Aigo, we are able to contain 90% of the requests. What that means is only 10% go to human agents, and we can do that on the customer service side. We can also do this on the employee side, which is everything to do with employee service. And Aigo can also be a co-pilot for an automotive or for a given application. So these are the three different kind of use case categories that we see that we are working with a number of our customers. One of our customers is a company called 1-800-Flowers, and they were using technologies from all of these big companies and other companies, half a dozen technologies across their 15 plus brands that they have. And they started with Aigo, just one use case, one channel and one brand. And today they decided to replace all of them with Aigo. And one of the main reasons for them to do that is this metric called containment, right? So we are now able to contain almost 93% of their requests, which only 7% go to human agents, and 93% is able to, basically Aigo is able to handle all that they request. That means it can fully understand the request, it can fully address the request, right? This is kind of the metric that is unheard of in the marketplace, and we are able to handle 20 million customers and millions of user requests coming on a day-to-day basis, right? Our mission is to provide highly intelligent and hyper-personalized conversational assistance for the enterprise, and that includes your customers and your employees. So that's what I have. There's a lot more that I want to share, but I want to leave the rest of the time open for Q&A. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Srini. Do you mind giving a quick snapshot of some of the customers that you've helped today? Like some just major logos or customers you've helped today, and just a snapshot of how you help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So with 1-800-Flowers, I can give names of some customers. I cannot give names of everyone because we're doing a lot, right? So at least with 1-800-Flowers, I can give names. So they were struggling. What they said is they grew the company to 20 million customers. They had this personal touch with every customer that were coming to their one store back in the day. They want to provide that type of concierge service for each one of their customers. Let's say if you happen to be their customer, Michelle, Aigo would get to know who is Michelle, what kind of things Michelle likes, who are the most important people in Michelle's life, what kind of things they like, what is their relationship with Michelle, and what events in their life does Michelle care about. With all of this information, Aigo is available 24/7. In fact, it can remind you saying, hey, Michelle, your mom's birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. Do you want to do something special? You want to do the same thing we did last year. This is the type of high-touch relationship that they want to have with each one of their 20 million customers. They try different technologies now. They call it gifting concierge, right? And you apply that to the insurance company, one of the largest, towing insurance company everyone knows of. I cannot give them names. They said, look, all our customers are at least 55 years or older. They're not going to use chat to start with. Of course, you can use voice also, but they're not ready for chat. And after us talking to them for 6 months, they said, okay, let's start with that, right? Today, 27% of their customers actually use Aigo to start with their emergency roadside assistance and all that, and across the board to sell their financial services, a number of other things that this particular insurance company offers. They offer credit cards, they offer travel stuff, all of that stuff, right? Now, we're also working with one of the largest credit card companies, and they have been using multiple technologies, and now they are looking at Aigo, and we're working with them. They just want to start with the replacement card, right? So they don't have a digital assistant where that can essentially handle all of that request, right? So now we are able to handle it, like I said initially, only on an exception basis. It goes to human agent. If you want Aigo to take care of the request, it will validate you are their customer first, that Michelle is their customer, and Michelle wants the replacement card. So what was the card you had, and now I'm going to send you the new card, and it goes through all the process that a human agent will go through and cover that up and then be done. Right. So different use cases, banking institutions, it's to start with, can you help me open the right account for me? And then Aigo goes through asking, are you a wealth customer? Are you a student? Are you single? Are you all of this stuff? And then, okay, this is the right account for you. Do you want to open the account? With the push of a button, Aigo opens the account and it takes care of that. Right. So it really depends. And Aigo is completely industry agnostic and domain agnostic. And the same customers who are using it on the customer side, now they came back to us and they said, hey, can Aigo help us with the IT help desk requirements? We are getting thousands of requests. We can't keep hiring more people for IT help desk. Can Aigo do that? Absolutely, yes. And now for the same customer, actually 1-800-Flowers, we are now working with them on the IT help desk, whether it's ServiceNow related content. I need to reset my password. I can't access this particular system, multi-factor authentication, all of these things, we are able to handle that, right? So there's absolutely no limitation when it comes to industry, or when it comes to domain, or even device for that matter, right? So that's basically how we are going to market.
That's great. I mean, it's looking at personalizing pretty much everything in the marketplace, right? Having that personal touch or personal experience as it relates to your customers and being able to make those connections. Imagine if you went to go buy a car, for instance, and you know that's a big purchase and you need to have multiple decision makers in that purchase. Maybe it's your husband, your wife, whoever, maybe it's for your son, and you're needing to share out context or colors or different trims on the interior. Aigo would be able to fulfill all of that for you, then be able to schedule you an appointment, be able to get you in touch with the financing, and so on and so forth, and actually complete sales. And so, I mean, we talked about things as little as 1-800-Flowers, being able to know your family tree and when to send flowers to your mom whose birthday is coming up, to requesting a new credit card, to opening an account, to purchasing a vehicle. It seems like you're really impacting that customer experience, and being able to create these trees or these personal touches within the contact center that you've never had before, right?
Right.
Especially on large purchases. So
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's about taking care of the customer, whether it's sales related, service related, delivering these hyper personalized conversations 24/7. Anytime Aigo is there, ready to serve you. And that makes all the difference. So the whole point is we use that phrase, serving a customer of one at scale. So if each one of your customer need to feel that this entire company exists to serve me, that's how you can do it, through hyper personalized conversations, talk or text.
that's awesome. And then as it relates to statistics, have you been able to come up with anything like it saves X amount of time, or reduction in agent churn, or agent,
Absolutely.
KPIs of CSAT scores, or I mean, that would be increase in CSAT scores, but do you have any statistics you could share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two things, right? Containment rate is one thing, and also reduction in the call center force. So containment, obviously, we can get up to 90% or over 90%, and it took us almost year and a half to get to that point, which is huge, and that results in it's a trickling down effect. Now you may need only 60 to 70% of your call center people. And if you had 10,000 people, now you need only 6,000 people. And imagine the savings of 4,000 people. And not only that, you're providing 24/7 service for this customer, which you never did. Or you had, 3 sets of those people, because Aigo is working 3 shifts and a human agent is working, there's only 1 shift, right? And over a period of time, some of the same customers that we're working with, they literally want to get down to 10 to 15% of their current call center staff, which essentially means 85 to 90% of the staff are gone forever, gone for good. So Aigo replaces these agents, and these agents could be call center agents, they could be IT help desk agents. So because it has a brain, it continues to evolve, and it delivers hyper personalized conversations. You really do not need humans, so use human agents only on an exception basis. That's the principle that we are living by. That's the principle we are delivering.
That's great. That's amazing. In terms of your competition, I mean, your brain obviously is the biggest, differentiator we have there. What else can you talk about when you're up to bat, I guess, against your competition, as to why people choose Aigo over others?
Yeah, I think you actually answered the question in your question itself. So we haven't come across a single chatbot out there that actually has a brain, right? And when we say brain, we are talking about cognitive abilities. And if you remember the very first slide, it remembers, it understands. Whatever it doesn't understand, it will disambiguate. It can reason with you. It can learn new information interactively from you. It has common sense knowledge for the subject matter that you're given. When you add all of this stuff, we kind of sum it up under brain. We haven't seen anything else out there. Again, there are 3,000 companies. Everyone claims some portion or whatever that is and all that. But when you look under the hood, what they're doing is they're using using machine learning, deep learning, big data. They're using brute force. I'll give you one example here, Michelle. If I give you 4 words, I made her duck, that could mean I cooked a duck for her. That's one meaning. It could also mean I created a toy duck, like a paper duck origami, or a painting of a duck. Which one is it, right? What the rest of the world does, they jump into that conclusion saying, when most people use duck in a sentence, they're talking about eating a duck or hunting a duck. What Aigo does is, who said this to whom, what was said before. It looks at the history and concludes, oh, you want to show your daughter and her friends how to paint a duck. Right? There are multiple meanings of, I made her duck. I could be the cooking duck, or somebody threw something at me. I made her duck, that she had to move away from this thing, right? So you need to look at all of that context and be able to make sense of it and arrive at a completely different conclusion. That's just not possible without a brain. That's why we say that without a brain, every chatbot out there that is in this space is a trained parrot. Just because a parrot tells you, good morning, Michelle, how are you, doesn't mean it understands what good means, what morning is. It's just repeating what somebody said with absolutely no understanding. So that's what sets us, literally what we say, light years ahead of anyone else out there.
Yeah. And it can't be more frustrating to interact with a bot that's like, oh, an agent will get back to you. Can you please provide me your email or your phone number, right? And they can't really help you. And so the cognitive ability of Aigo and the brain that you have behind your solution is truly that differentiator, and there's nothing else like it. And
absolutely,
that's why we think, you deserve the spotlight today. And also, as why you're one of the leading emerging technologies that we've worked with so far. So thank you for your time. Any other closing remarks? You have one more minute, and then we'll jump over to our next session.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for the opportunity. We see influx of customers actually inbound reaching out to us because the problem is getting severe, both at the call centers and at the IT help desk centers. We'd love to work with your customers. Evotech has been a strategic partner for that from the get-go. Super thrilled to be partnering with you, Michelle, to be partnering with Evotech and Mark Campbell, and can't wait to get working with your customers and solving some of the critical problems that they have. So looking forward to speaking with them and handling their
Thank
problems.
you so much, Srini. We appreciate it.
All right.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.